For today's video, I'm going to attempt to tackle one of the most controversial topics in Call of Duty, and that is controller settings. I know a lot of you out there are very passionate about this subject, especially when it comes to your sensitivity, but through extensive scientific research, I feel like I've come up with at least the best settings for myself. And if you're anything like me, then they're probably pretty good settings for you as well. Also, before we go any further, I do want to remind you guys, I do stream right here on this channel every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday from 7 p.m. Eastern and on. Be sure to check one out if you haven't yet. And without further ado, let's jump into these settings. While we're going through these settings, I am going to be putting over the screen some gameplay of me using these exact settings so you guys can see how well I can track my enemies now, how well I can control my recoil, and to prove that just because, spoiler, I have a little bit of a lower sensitivity doesn't mean that now you can't have cracked movement, but we'll get into that soon. Coming up first, I have my button layout as default. I have a scuff controller with 4 paddles on the back, so I don't need any special button layout for my controller. Then scrolling down to what I think is the next most important thing to talk about is the dead zone. Now, dead zone is going to be more specific to you as the individual, because with a dead zone setting, it's pretty much only meant to get rid of controller stick drift. If you've been gaming for any time at all, you know exactly what stick drift is. So for newer controllers, your stick drift probably really isn't that bad, which means you can probably have lower numbers like the ones I have here. And for older controllers, your joysticks might be a little bit more worn out and be more susceptible to some pretty bad stick drift, so you might need to raise these numbers a bit. These are what I have right now, 0.04 for my left analog stick and 0.07 for my right one. Now, straight under that, this is a relatively new setting to Warzone, and this is the max input dead zone. So we just talked about the minimum input dead zone, and that's how far you need to move your thumbstick from center point for it to start moving. And when it comes to max input dead zone, this is pretty much the exact opposite. The lower the number for this setting, the shorter amount of time it takes to get to your fastest speed. Now, by lowering this, you can, in return, be getting a more snappy response. And while using this a little bit, you can make a lower sensitivity feel like it's way faster. But I found this to be a little bit more useful in multiplayer as opposed to Warzone. So I keep mine to default setting at 0.99. However, I encourage you to go out, try this, put it down to like 0.9 because it is pretty aggressive when you lower it, and just see how it feels and if you like it. And now, getting to probably the most controversial part of this entire video, we have horizontal and vertical stick sensitivity. Now, I'm more than certain I'm going to be getting the 2020 Timmies in my comments saying, you play in such a slow sensitivity, how do you even play the game? Well, Timmy, let me share with you a little secret. Your skill in Warzone isn't based on how fast you can turn your player a full 360 degrees. Pretty much all you need to be worried about is, can you hit your shots and kill a player? So although a higher sensitivity might give you more of that cracked movement type of feel, I found for myself personally anyway that it doesn't help me hit my shots as well as it does now with a lower sensitivity, when it's a lot easier to track players when they're running around. And you'll find that most professional Call of Duty players are playing on very low sensitivities such as this. I have mine at 7.7. Some pros even play at 6.6 or even 5.5. And just to give you an actual example, Aiden, who is probably known as one of, if not the best Warzone player on the planet, who has, I think, to this date, the most earnings in Warzone, plays on a 7.7 sensitivity. He bounces back and forth between 7.7 and 8.8. However, you get my point. As long as you have good positioning and good centering, there's no reason you need a super high sensitivity. I get comments on my videos all the time about how my movement is cracked, and I don't play on a 2020 sensitivity. I'm able to throw a 180 if I'm getting shot in the back and kill someone just as well as someone with a 2020 sensitivity. So don't overthink it. Prioritize the sensitivity. It's going to help you hit your shots. And then right under that, we have our ADS sensitivity multiplier. This is basically just how fast you can move your camera angle when you are fully aimed down sight. I like to keep mine at a relatively medium-ish type of speed at 0.87. You're probably thinking, why not just have it at 0.9 or 0.85 to make it a better number to look at? I don't know, I've tried both. Then one day I decided to throw right in the middle at 0.87, and honestly, it was like a magic number for me. So I stuck with it, and I'm happy I did. And as you can see, I have my custom sensitivity per zoom off, which means that every single sensitivity, whether it's low zoom, 2 time, 3 time, and on, they're all 0.87 for every single zoom. And moving on to our aim response curve type, this might be one of the more important settings you could have right now. and that is dynamic. This is a more instant and snappier response than standard or linear, another setting that pretty much all professional players use. I've never had any problems with it, so I highly recommend you use it. Then I have my controller vibration off because it annoys me. And then for my aim assist setting, I have it as standard. I think pretty much every single person ever uses standard, and it's because it is the best setting that there is, and I'm not even sure why they have precision or focusing on here. Moving down the line, we have scale aim assist with FOV. Now this one is a toss-up. This is the one I've seen most pros go back and forth on, and even myself, I can't even decide which one I think is better. I've played a good amount of time with it disabled and with it enabled, and honestly, right now I have it disabled because I do feel like when it comes to losing aim assist, we all know if you're on controller, there are times where it's like, I just lost aim assist, what the heck happened? That does happen less when I have this disabled. I think because, as you can see in the picture, there is a larger box when it goes to detecting those players and your aim assist region than it does when it's enabled. So for that reason, I think it makes sense I do lose aim assist less, and I think for right now, it does feel like it's a little bit better than enabled, but you might have a different experience. I do bounce around between like 117 to 120 FOV, so my players appear a lot smaller, so that could be a reason why the disabled version feels better to me. But when it comes to this setting, honestly, try them both out. You probably won't feel a huge difference. So for that reason, I don't really think you should think too much into it. Just choose one and it'll probably be fine. And then going to my actual FOV, I have it set right now at 117 because there are rumors that at 120 you do lose aim assist more often than if it were to be anything else. There's not a huge difference between 117 and 120 anyway, so it might just be a mental thing, but I do feel like 117 is kind of the sweet spot for my FOV. But obviously the perk of playing on PCs, you could shoot it all the way up to 120 and get the largest field of view possible. And then I'll talk about this last setting. Doesn't really have much to do with controller settings, but it does help with your aim and stuff like that because this is your camera movement, so visual effects when it comes to clusters, precision, there's things that's rumbling the ground around you. It's just how much is your camera, your screen going to be shaking and throwing off your aim. Set it at least, and then it'll make your screen shake as little as possible and probably save you a few headaches. So like I said, I understand this is probably a more controversial type of topic because people are very passionate about their sensitivities when it comes to Warzone or Call of Duty in general. But if you're someone out there who just for some reason has it in their mind they need a high sensitivity, yet at the same time you're not hitting your shots as well as you would like to, lower it down. I used to play in a high sensitivity and I refused to lower it because it felt so slow, but once I did, I started hitting so much more of my shots. My game just got better. It forced me to position myself better, and it's became an all-around better player for it. So like I said, go ahead, try these out for yourself, and I guarantee that you will not regret it. But that's all I have for this one. If you guys like this video, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on those notifications because, like I said, I do stream right here on this channel, and we love it when Noti Gang floods into the chat. But past that, that's all I have for this one. I'll catch you in the next one.